of the Rings. Battle of Rohirrim. It's a long title. Battle... something Rohirrim. It's a good movie. It was unexpected. I was skeptical about it at first because I was like, it looks anime, but it doesn't. It's still kind of cartoony because it's more Western. It's not as... It doesn't have those sharp edges you look for. It's just a very weird take on Lord of the Rings, of all things. I don't know how that started, but it did. It's a thing. I mean, it'll definitely get attention. Ooh, the Lord of the Rings, cool. Ooh, anime. Obviously, it would have made probably a lot more sense to do it in that more refined style, sharp, stylistic, detailed art style versus like cartoon. You know, like Warner Bros. Animation or something. So definitely, for what it was, it came out as good as it was gonna be. It's just so random. I'm not complaining, but it's like, you know, why Lord of the Rings? Why this super detailed fantasy epic? But I like the way it contrasts. You get this very west-east kind of relationship, and even though this is like some kind of medieval thing, but that's not the point. But yeah, it was really good. There's really not much to it though. I can see why they focused on Rohan, because that was such a key thing in the Two Towers. I guess it was still kind of around, sort of, in the Return of the King, as far as like that one guy. But it was definitely obviously more of like a Two Towers thing, which is actually probably my favorite because I just watched it a gazillion times versus like 1 and 3. So it's cool that they shed a little bit more light on Rohan, and because it was such a big part of that movie. I know that between all the movies, they're kind of everywhere. Gondor, blah blah blah, the Shire, Mordor, and kind of everything in between. The elf place, whatever that is. So that was cool. They utilized a very underutilized asset and kind of brought it to light a little bit more. The weird part about it is it's because it's animated, so it's not like you're getting that like one-to-one direct kind of like, oh, more Rohan. Like, this is a spin-off. This is exactly what a spin-off would do, is like, hey, we have this whole world, let's focus on this one thing or this one character, this one area, place, and let's expand on it. And that's exactly what they did. But a weird thing about going this direction is it's as unexpected as this whole project was. It was expected. The fact that one weird thing about spin-offs is that, and that's what I think did some damage to this, is that you got the main course, the movies, the sequels specifically. We're not even talking Hobbit at this point, which is arguably a prequel, but even that kind of tends to be in the same grain of like a spin-off, because it's just not that. And I hate to even say it that way, but it's kind of true, because I love prequels, but it's just, it doesn't have that same meat and cheese as the as the first movies of its kind. But the issue is, it's like, you know, oh, you got the Rohirrim and the army and the battles and the town, and it's very grounded and down to earth, and it just screams Middle Earth and, you know, humans, man versus like orcs, and, you know, everything else. Like, you don't even have to think of Gondor at that point, because that's like, okay, it's literally like the human central population, biggest place, whatever the deal is. But Rohan is like, no one's. What came to my mind is like, who wanted this? Who wanted Rohan? To be fair, it's probably like the least interesting place, as shitty as that sounds. But we're not talking about one of the bigger, more interesting, intricate places. But it definitely worked, and if anything relates to anime in this kind of style, it definitely reminds me of like Samurai Warriors, or because even in anime you just don't really see a lot of stuff like this, so it is kind of cool that it came about, because there's not a whole lot of it, especially in a movie format, especially with the detail and the artwork that it did have, which was really good, but it wasn't like this goofy, wacky, odd, strange, normal anime style that you would think of. So it was a very interesting concept of mixing this super scaled thing that we all know about and really kind of squeezing it into this sort of nice little Japanese package. I mean, animation can be anything, like anime specifically. It doesn't matter if it's this or like the Batman Yakuza style, or we're just talking like straight up CG, or we're talking like it can be done. It's that weebiness. It can be kind of portrayed in so many various ways. So I think this was a very interesting take on it. But what's weird about this when it came about is you're also seeing, especially Warner Bros., HBO, doing a lot of other similar things, like Rick and Morty anime. There's like a Justice League anime. It's weird. I just don't think it works. Like, it doesn't come across the same way at all. There's a reason why anime sticks to what it knows, is because that's what works, and that's what makes it great. I think Rick and Morty as a cartoon, as its original thing, is just fine. I think Justice League in its Warner Bros. Animation looks just fine. Because that's going to be the most accurate way to get that kind of stuff across. It's just a very different culture and very different. But they pulled it off. They made it work. Not like it can't be done, but this movie just felt so experimental. It's like, what can we do? And it was definitely a challenge, and like, can we get away from the norm and do something different? And they delivered. But those people can do anything, so it's not really surprising to me either. As someone who loves Lord of the Rings and anime, it was a very confusing but like pleasing, satisfying kind of viewing experience. Was it necessary? Did it need to come out? Did anyone ask for it? No. But here we are, so I'm not really... It's fine. But I feel kind of bad for it too, because it's like, I think it really grabbed a lot of attention. Deservedly so. But I also think it kind of created its own little weird downfall too, because it really went off course and went in some very different direction and didn't stay in its lane. You're always gonna get interesting things like this. It's gonna come out here and there, like the Predator animation thing. I forgot what it, Killer of Killers. That was a very different take on Predator. But I'm seeing a pattern here. It's like all these things are trying to do these other things, and I'm just not sure if it's working. I think animation is complicated and as expensive and time consuming as it is, just like anything else. Maybe not quite versus like a show or live action, a movie. Because you definitely don't have as many moving pieces as far as people and sets and this and that. You're definitely, it's a lot more of a controlled, regulated environment. But I think it's just like a way to save money. Like, hey, let's make an animation, but let's still use these IPs that have been around for God, how many years now? 40, 50 years. I mean, dude, the Predator, for example, has been out since like the 80s or something. Lord of the Rings, the book itself goes back quite a ways, but to be fair, the movies are only, early 2000s, so that's understandable. But when we're going back to like 90s, 80s stuff, I don't know. So it's basically a combination of a spin-off, saving money, trying to keep its franchise alive, and maybe not Lord of the Rings specifically, but it's pretty old by now, 20 years. So just using something that's been around forever. Star Wars did an anime as well, the Visions thing, which actually turned out kind of cool, like Star Wars, and get to see it, and they do so many various things anyway, though, that, and something like that was just bound to happen anyway. When it's these really big Harry Potter, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, when they go this direction, it's not terrible. I know they're trying to really build up that portfolio and, you know, hey man, we've done this, we've done that, and it shows. But, you know, and there's games as well. I wish Lord of the Rings had re-released like the Two Towers. Those games are so good. But is there gonna be like a War of Rohirrim game? Like, it's just, there's nothing to really go off of here. That's the problem, is like, I think if they just made, I know there's all kinds of other things trying to get made too, you know, not everybody can do everything all at one time, but like on one hand I want to say just make another Lord of the Rings movie, but on the other hand I'm glad they did this instead because it's different. You know, I think this would have made a much more impact, especially after all these years, versus just making another whatever thing. So you got to look at it kind of as a very sensitive kind of thing, because I think a lot of Lord of the Rings fans, they're gonna watch this, but they're gonna be like, oh, I don't like anime and I don't like like, some people are just so stubborn and bullheaded like that. And hey, if this is something that can change their minds and like open people up to anime and make them enjoy it more, and the fact that and the fact that this was also in a movie format, not a show, I think you gotta give, like, as I can't imagine being a non-anime fan, but like, I think this would be a great conversion to people who, and I think that was part of the point of doing exactly this thing, is I think it can change a lot of people's minds and open them up a little bit more and be comfortable, because some people are so closed off to the whole idea that they just shut it out completely and they refuse to kind of budge even just a little bit. And so hey, if this did bring in any new fans to not only Lord of the Rings but anime, either or, that's pretty cool. So, you know, in one sense it kind of, like, for me it's like, I love the combo, but I also love them separate too. But I think for anybody else, unless they happen to be in the exact same position, they're gonna be so up and down with it. Oh, I hate it. I love it. I like, yeah, they like indecisive. They can't decide where they're at with it. And really, it doesn't matter because it's there and it's accessible and you may as well just watch it regardless. It's not like it's gonna be some big giant decision or something. But it's also like what, a two-hour-ish movie or something. And I think it came out at a good time too, where, you know, hey, everything's already kind of been done. We've been there, done that. It really found a way to freshen up the series, the franchise, to bring it back to life. I mean, to be fair, Rings of Power is still very recent, and I love that show. I don't know if this was made to like make up for that show for those who didn't like it, or that could be something to think about. But yeah, I guess between Rings of Power and this, they've been staying pretty busy. And it's kind of nice to have both versus only like one or the other. And I like that they're doing things, just staying active. They didn't just release the original 3 movies and just leave it alone, or they didn't just settle with, you know, eventually doing The Hobbit as well. But hey, they got 6 movies under their belt. There's there's the Hobbit animation, the really, really old one. There's the books, there's Rings of Power, now there's this. There's a lot to really choose from now, which is kind of cool. And it makes you think, like, what's next? What more could they possibly do? Because it's almost like they've done the live action stuff, now they've done the animation stuff, so it almost leaves you with nothing to really look forward to, because it's like, I would have never expected this, but now that they've done it, what's left? But they're just juggling stuff around, because next thing you know, hey, maybe a new game, maybe they're gonna try to tackle kind of each sort of different type of media. So it's good they did this, and I'm glad they chose to do something brave and bold and courageous, and they definitely took a risk. But I think a lot of studios and the industry is in a place right now where they're taking risks, because things have changed with the outbreak and the theaters and the things at home and streaming services, and now different style animation and, you know, shows versus movies. And it's just kind of, it's an exciting, weird little time, but it's good too. But I don't know, things are changing. Like back when Lord of the Rings first came out, I don't think anyone ever had the thought in their mind, like, oh, one day an animated Lord of the Rings movie might come out. That just never would have, because the movie hogs so much of your attention and your concentration of focus, because it's just so goddamn good. And then you try to relate it over to this whole other very different, obscure, offshoot, off-brand kind of thing. And it really, like, whoa, hey, whoa, it's like a shock. It's like it takes you by surprise and hits you, and they did that, and they succeeded. But I also think it could be very forgettable too, unfortunately. Like, you know, if you didn't watch it right then and there, just like most things, unfortunately, but it does kind of fade into the background. It does kind of, you know, and you'd be wondering, like, who is seeing this for the first time, like right now, today, or who is gonna eventually watch this a year from now, or there's always going to be new fans. There's new people born all the time. There's new people growing up and becoming interested in these things. And Lord of the Rings is still very relevant today, clearly. But yeah, I don't know. And that's I'd be interested, because a lot of Japanese people worked on it. I'd be interested to see how well it did over there in Japan. You know, they love Western stuff, American stuff, especially English stuff. So I don't know. I think it did them just as much service as it did for us. It's a very beneficially mutual understanding, because now they get to experience what we know and love. And obviously, they've watched Lord of the Rings. I'm not saying that, but it's more. Ooh, now they get to kind of combine our stuff with theirs. Because we're always just like, give more anime, please. more of your consoles, more of your clothes, more of your just everything cool that they have to offer as a country and a nation and a community and a group. I always love it when, because they do the same. They're doing the same thing. They're taking all our stuff too. Hope, like, that's good, but now they get to take that and combine it into a very familiar thing for them too. And what's interesting is, like, I just assume, like, hey, all Japanese people love anime. It's all over the place. It's their thing. It's like their life source. So I'd be interested to see if this might even be able to turn some heads over there, because some people don't. Not everybody likes anime. You could literally be Japanese, but that doesn't mean you have to be forced to love something that's constantly surrounding you too. They might even be sick of it because of that exact reason. I don't know. And obviously there's more to life than just that, but it is a lifestyle thing. It's a choice. It's a way to live your life. It's a huge fan base. It's all these things. So not only would it be able to do all these different things for us, but for them too. So that's kind of cool to think about. Just knowing that they're enjoying something the same way and in a different way, and getting this different perspective and angle on other slices of life. And so it's kind of cool. I really respect this movie. I really love that it was made. And I can't really, like, express that. But the movie itself, some familiar voices, like like the king. I definitely recognized who he was. And what's interesting about his voice actor is that you definitely don't look at him and think of the character that he played, but he has that voice for it. I can't not see him from X-Men Striker. I don't even know his name, but he's definitely very, like, iconic. Like, I know who the guy is. It was good though. It was you know, you watch Lord of the Rings and you're sitting there 2-3 hours, you're like, damn, that was good. Damn, this is good while watching it. And this movie, and when I watch anime, it's the exact same thing. I'm in my own little bubble. I'm just, you know, floating on water, just staring at the stars, just enjoying every minute of it. And this movie was exactly that. It reminded me of so many other animes too, not just Lord of the Rings, but kind of had some Samurai 7 as far as, like, companions and, like, you know, fighting and battling, and it's an adventure, it's a quest, it's a journey. And there were moments where it was just super chill, and nighttime with the stars and the sky, and you're hearing bugs. Very anime right there. But those moments where you just, it's just life. Like, you don't have to be battling all the time. You don't have to be fighting. It's not all about that all the time. Like, those moments where you just slow down for a minute and just kind of really. And then when you think of how historical this is, like back in the day, you know, a very different time, a much more simpler, basic, easier time in a way. So that hit me too, and there's a lot of animes that have those moments. But it was also just good to just, you know, like the main girl, it was a very cliche thing, and obviously the main girl, I don't even know if these characters are related to the two towers. This might have been before or after. I have no idea if it's even connected at all, canon or whatever. But the main girl, she made me think of oh my god, I forget her name too. The blonde girl in the Two Towers. Aragorn's kind of side girl rebound from Arwen or whatever. Liv Tyler, is that her name? Viggo Mortensen, Aragorn. So it was kind of cool. There was definitely similarities to the Two Towers other than just Rohan. The commander guy, Carl Urban, right? In Two Towers. I'm not sure who he might have represented in this, if he did at all. But he was obviously a pretty big integral part of that. Yeah, it was obviously also reminding me of just Game of Thrones, Skyrim, the very kind of Norse-y, like Vikings. And because what's interesting about this is it doesn't really cater. When you think of medieval, you think of England, you think of armor, you think of these giant castles, and they did a really great job not really going there. Like, I think Game of Thrones, if anything, went a little bit more that well, not really though. They're not wearing like literal full suits of just normal basic silvery chrome metal armor. But when you see these guys with their capes and their drapes and the way they dress, and very brown, very earthy, very like Rohan, they're the hippies. They're the human hippies. The elves are the hippies, but so there's just so much going on because of all the east-west stuff, because of the fantasy stuff, because of the animation stuff, because of there's just a lot to take in. There's the similarities between the movies, there's a very cliche, not niche, but stereotypical story. Yeah, it had everything in it. There was family, there was jealousy, there was rage, there was hatred, there was corruption, there was drama, there was gossip, there was... I don't have much experience with The Witcher, but it was very Witcher-like too. Like when you're in the hallways, the great halls, and you know, all the people yapping, and it was just so good. Like, I can't imagine if I was only into fantasy, like watching this and just being like, oh, this is it's a dream. Like, if you're only a Lord of the Rings fan and you watch this and you get the animation out of it, it's a wet dream. If you're only into animation, but you're open to Lord of the Rings, a wet dream. I think when you like both already, it's kind of like expected. It's kind of like, Yeah, it's cool seeing them together. I love when things fuse and hybrid and mesh and mix and. But I've already seen it all, so it's kind of like it's nothing really like that impact I think they were trying to look for in certain people. It definitely didn't hit me the same way. It should be an even better thing than only being kind of biased towards one or the other, but I think for me it was more like, yeah, it's cool, you know. Um, but that's also coming from someone who's so used to seeing each thing individually all these years. You know, I grew up watching Lord of the Rings in the movie theaters and anime as a kid, and yeah, I just don't know what to really think about it, like this sort of official assessment or verdict, or it's just kind of so up in the air because it's like you can't really quite put your finger on it, how it makes you feel, that emotion. But it definitely doesn't. But you're not just gonna get like one thing out of it. You're gonna get so many different weird highs and lows of like it was definitely something, but you just don't know what it was. Like, I don't know. There's some parts I didn't like. Like I thought it got kind of weird. I don't know. Like the fact you're already taking something that's fantasy and you could do so much with that and still make it like realistic. But you're already dealing with dragons and goblins and orcs and this and that. So when you get into the anime sense, and especially because of what they do normally, it's just this over the top, high octane nonsense in a good way. I think they ran with that a little too much here. It really kind of took me out of the immersion. Because there's this, and it was only really one part too, where it just got kind of like, it started to lean into all these other things that had nothing to do with anime or Lord of the Rings, and you're already dealing with so much material as it is. It kind of got into this weird, like, otherworldly, like, superhero stuff almost. It's hard to explain without going too deep into it, but you know, for one thing to kind of throw me off, it already threw me off as it is, but then it's one of those things where you lean back, but then you kind of like, okay, now I get it. Now I'm starting, especially the further you watch it, the more I think you're gonna lean into it. Because especially after what, 5 minutes, a half hour, you're really starting to kind of like, even though it might be off-putting at first, it's just like watching like a CG anime. It's like, it's weird. It's still good, but it's just, it doesn't see. It's like that uncanny kind of thing. Not as in a sense like, oh, it's so realistic that it's weird, but more like it's just kind of this thing that hits you from left field. It's like walking all of a sudden one day and you get a bird shits on you. It's just so like, really, out of the entire world, a bird just happened to hover over me at that exact second in time and take a dump on me. It's happened to me. But yeah, other than that, what else was there? I think it definitely leaned in the game. In Lord of the Rings, there's definitely like some betrayals, but it's really light. There's some backstabbing, some behind your back, but it's very momentary, temporary. But I think this being an anime and having to kind of really delve into that, like keeping your interest the entire time, I think it did get a little weird. It definitely went into the more dramatic Game of Thrones kind of stuff, where it's just constantly like someone's doing something they shouldn't be, someone's saying something they shouldn't be, and that part got a little weird. You know, it was kind of like a love story, but family, but I don't know. Um, there wasn't, you know, in Lord of the Rings, as good as the entire thing is, what really can tie it all together, especially thinking of like the two towers specifically, is seeing that battle at the end, having some conclusion, having some climax, having some, like, hey, I love all the talking and, but it's something leads to somewhere. There's a beginning, middle, and end. Or in the Lord of the Rings, it was cut up into. Frodo didn't turn. Shit, if we're throwing in the Hobbit, I mean, that thing. It took 6 movies to kill Sauron again, or whatever the case, or, you know, put the ring into Mordor. It was a long time coming, man, but I love the build-up. I love the. Seeing them get to that point eventually and having it continue, and here it was kind of like there was just no end goal. There was no like, and this is a much smaller story, so like you can't expect too much, but it's also coming from a place where that was very much, that's all it was. It's its whole thing. It's about Bilbo and the things he went through, and the ring, and Frodo, and Gandalf, and this, and Sam, and yada yada yada. But here it's like, oh, there's some girl, I like her, I can relate to her. She's kind of an individual, and she's just got that attitude and behavior of like not conforming or doing, you know, authority and hierarchy, and very rebellious and kind of her own lost. She's like a lost soul trying to find her own way and her purpose and destiny and fate and all these things. But then you have this other guy who's just kind of an asshole. I mean, I don't know, it felt more like a love drama. And you got that in Lord of the Rings, but only really with Aragorn and what's-her-butt. But what they did well there was they snuck it in there, but they didn't make it too much about that. I think this whole movie was really about that. You know, daddy issues. But all those things aside, it really did dive into, because going back to the two towers, like we know this girl, we see her, we've gotten to know her a little bit, but not too much. Character development, Rohan as a place, as a kingdom. I think here they really went into the more detailed aspects of what it would be like to be there and to be royalty, and the things you would go through, and getting brought up into the world, and, you know, expectations, and finding your place in the world. And I mean, that's just back in the day. Anytime there's like kings and queens, it's, you know, lineage, bloodlines, fathers, sons, mothers, daughter, whatever. It's always gonna go that direction, but it's such a very different. Funny enough, not too long ago, still weirdly kind of relevant today. You know, before the government and all that, is these very individually ruling places, or like Skyrim with the Jarls, or but yeah, it was I don't know, it was cool. It was anime, it was Skyrim, it was Witcher, it was Lord of the Rings, it was other anime that has big giant epic scale wars in it. It was Dynasty Warriors, it was Samurai Warriors, it was Samurai 7, like this really small town kind of hunkering down and battling, and you know, bad guys, good versus evil. It had a lot of stuff in it. It's a lot to, I wouldn't. It's not overwhelming or confusing, which is good because it could have easily went that direction. But they kept it simple. They kept it easy to follow. Whether you're interested in it personally is another matter, but I mean, what's cool about the animation style is it doesn't have to be like this super intriguing thing. That definitely helps and adds on to it, but it's just the eye candy. Like, the animation was so good. And it had to be good because of the theatrical release stuff. Like, there's more expectations there, so you know you're getting a better product than just kind of something that was simply put out, especially into a TV show format. Because that could have got lost in the dust so bad. It's still Lord of the Rings, it's still anime, so it definitely would have gotten some coverage and would have been recognized generally from the masses, but I think it being a movie was a really smart move. I have so much more love for things that decide to go that route because they're ambitious. They don't just cater to the bare minimum substandard, you know, kind of thing that the easy way out. I like the easy way. Easy's good. It's the easy way, exactly. But they went above and beyond, and I would expect nothing less from these Eastern people that, you know, seem to really have a grasp on what it is that they're doing. Even in this case where this is definitely, anime's just so common and there's so much of it. It's been around for so long and it's the only blood that they have. It's their Gaia, it's their spirit of the earth. And they're like, hey, we'll give you some of our stuff. It's a very, you think of trade and import and it's like, oh, it's just such a pristine, clean, it's sleek product. I wouldn't, it's hard to say if like I want more of this, because I think it should definitely kind of just stay where it's at, or at least for now. Like, hey, you did this, you know, you did a good job, take a break, you did good, you did well, just, but I wouldn't mind more of it either. But I don't think things like this were really meant to be like, you know, eventually like some sort of trilogy, or because if they're covering the two towers here, what's to stop them from doing Return of the King stuff, or what's to stop them from doing Fellowship stuff, or the Hobbit stuff for that matter, aside from the animation it already originally had, which was really old and cartoony. So, and living in a world with remakes and remasters and reboots and re-releases, and that's more of a game thing, I suppose. Well, that could be anything really, but I don't know. I think it'd be a little too soon, but it's almost like, do you want it to die out or do you want it to keep going? I don't know. But either way, like, we get it now, so that's cool. I think if anything, like, you know, chill out with the Lord of the Rings stuff, or give me a season 3 of Rings of Power. I'm not even sure that really, I don't even think that's done yet, right? I don't know if it got caught up to the movies or not. But yeah, that's cool. I think animation should do. They've kind of done Star Wars. They've done other little things. You know what? At this point, fuck it, dude. Make a Harry Potter something. I don't think that's a thing, right? I would watch it if it's anything like this. Yeah, I'm all there. I'll support this kind of stuff all day because it's what I know already naturally, organically love. So it just kind of worked out in a weird way. But yeah, Dun, da, da, 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 dun, dun, dun. The Lord of the Rings.